everyone. I'm Rejoice on Umatta Consultant Podcast. If today's your first time on our show, please make sure you subscribe to all of our social media channels, especially Spotify. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Jimmy Rayos. He is the founder and also CEO of Rayos Business Advisors. I'd love for him to also introduce himself as he sees fit, and we'll dive right into the questions. So, Jimmy, the mic is yours, please.
How you doing? Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, very honored to be on your show and help bring some knowledge and help other people. That's what it's all about.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to give a little background on myself. I live in Arizona. I've been, running a business for about 25 years. Over time, my financial services firm grew into more of an advisory firm and in the realms of real estate, financial planning, structurization, and helping businesses grow. So we took a lot of, I would say, probably over 20 years of mistakes that I made in the realms of entrepreneurship and building and scaling and making mistakes in funding and all these things that people do because they don't know. And I built a business around helping people to overcome those mistakes and not make them, or if you're going to make them, be able to rebound a lot quicker. And that's really what it's about. It's not about perfection, right? It's about progress. And we try to build on what we've learned and parlay that to others so that they can get there a little bit faster and make less costly mistakes,
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for giving us that background, and we are excited for a conversation with you. First question, Jimmy. You've guided business owners through sales, exiting plan, and debt management for over 2 decades, as you already mentioned. What inspired you to focus on funding and financial resilience?
Well, I realized early on that businesses don't fail because of lack of ideas or passion. They fall because of lack of capital and poor financial strategy. After many years guiding owners through sales, exits, debt, I saw that same pattern over and over. And people underestimate the role of funding. So I wanted to change that by helping entrepreneurs view funding not as a burden, but as a tool for growth and resilience. That's very important to me.
Nice one. I agree with you that funding tends to be the burden of a lot of business owners, whether they would like to admit it or not. But that that seems to be the number one key. Looking back
Right.
to pivotal times like 2008 financial crisis, I'm sure you remember. What lessons did you learn that continue to shape how you advise entrepreneurs today?
Well, there's a saying that you need your company needs when your company needs money. That's the worst time to try to get funding. You should try to get funding when your company doesn't need money. And the reality is that 2008 taught me two things. Credit dries up when you need it the most. And cash flow discipline separates survivors from casualties. So I saw companies with strong ideas collapse because they had no liquidity, or they didn't have a backup for funding. And that shaped, how I advise people today. I plan for storms when the skies are clear.
Very true. Very true. Very true. It seems like when an entrepreneur is looking for money or scrambling for money, that's when it's not accessible.
Well, two things happen. One, your 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 desperation for that comes out, even though you don't think it does, but it does. And so in your movements and everything you do, that energy flows and it disrupts. And it flows the other way too. When your positive energy is flowing, when you're feeling confident in your conviction, everything that you're doing, all the doors start opening for funding and for solutions and everything. So there's two ways to look at this. And I've been on both sides of the fence. That's why I talk so emphatically about it with empathy, because I've been there. I've been there on both sides, and I can talk from experience that when I properly plan my strategies and I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, man, I walk taller. I'm a short guy, but I feel like I'm 6'5" and I'm only 5'5", right? I walk into places and doors get open for me, and it just, maybe it's just that aura of invincibility, not ego. Notice that I didn't say ego, because I'm a very humble person. But when you have planned and you can do things the right way, things all of a sudden start happening in the right way, right?
Exactly. Perfectly said. Many business owners view funding as a loan or a line of credit. How do you define strategic funding?
Oh man, that's a great question, because there's a misconception out there, right, of funding, and I think there's got to be strategic funding, which is more than a loan. It's aligning capital with the timing of your growth, and it's asking, does this funding position me to create assets,
Mm,
reduce risk, or build leverage? If the answer is yes, that's strategic. It's intentional and not reactive, right? So we have to start thinking in other ways of what funding is. There's recourse funding and there's non-recourse funding, right? And you got to know the distinction between those, because there's different ways, and we built a system around what I'm talking about, right? In being able to leverage properly, take a liability and turn it into an asset that produces revenue to get rid of the liability. That's unheard of. People don't know how to encapsulate that concept, but it's necessary.
exactly, exactly. Let me ask a follow-up question on what you said, because I thought it was well said. Do you often feel that an entrepreneur needs to continue to make mistakes in their understanding of funding, or they should be seeking out support?
Well, knowing what I know now, right, I would have sought out support a long time ago. I found that through my mistakes, I was able to get it, but it took me 20 years to build on something that could have probably taken me 5 years, right? It could have been, the learning curve could have been lessened, right? I'm not saying that making a mistake is a bad thing, because as I teach my children and as we keep growing, we're not all knowing, we're going to make mistakes. So I'm very cognizant of those mistakes, and I'm more aware in making mistakes. You in learning from them, you become more aware, right? You become wiser to the fact. But I think aligning yourself with mentors, advisors, others, gurus that know more, in the sense of being able to go through that storm and help you through that, is a lot easier in being able to stand up and go forward, versus the way I did it, where I had to go back, sometimes almost to the point of folding, close to folding, and having to start over. And let me tell you, resiliency in business is paramount. You need to be resilient. You need to be constant. You got to keep moving forward. Even when you take a step back, you like falling down the mountain. You don't stop trying to get back up. You keep going. But for me, it was like, and I'm like going like this, and I'm not going. I keep going down, but I'm trying to go up. And for many entrepreneurs listening, maybe that's the rat race they feel. So one of my clients was like, I have a successful business on paper, but I keep going in circles, because what comes in is coming right out. So it's like, they don't feel the success, because they, on paper, maybe in sales, it's up here, but somewhere along the line, there's a hole that's draining this money, and we have to find where it's at, plug it, and help them grow and escalate. And that's part of what we do as advisors, is helping them see the light, see the holes, right? So that they can, if they're going to make mistakes, learn how to overcome the mistakes in a more efficient way, less costly, and better, so that they can kind of attune to, oh, I read that, or Jimmy told me about this, or you know what I'm saying? Like, be more conscious of some of these things.
Exactly, exactly. I agree with you. Let's look at this way. Another question: what are the most common mistakes you see entrepreneurs make when it comes to managing credit and capital?
Yeah. So I wrote a book on Amazon called Decoding the Mystery of Business Credit. And it's very important to distinguish between personal credit and business credit. And I know that in the hoopla of everything that's going on in life, the easy thing is to just keep doing what we're doing, right? Nothing changes, nothing changes. So we keep utilizing our credit. We keep doing that, right? So treating credit as free money instead of an asset, um, that is a huge mistake. And it happens all the time. Um, Another one is over leveraging on short term loans with no exit strategy, right? These are these are these are some of the things I talk about. Not building business credit separate from personal is very important because the reality is you're putting all your liability on your person, and when a pandemic hits or tariffs happen and it changes the continuum of your business, and you're not getting all the orders that you were, now you're relying on your personal credit. It can take you down quickly. And then failing to match the right funding tool with the right business stage. A lot of times people don't know how to use different tools of funding, right? So, there's different types of funding for different needs. And maybe it's not the best time to take out an installment loan when we can work with maybe a, a revolving line of credit or a merchant cash advance or different types of strategic tools that are meant, receivables financing, equipment financing. There's a lot of different ways to be able to skin the cat, so to speak.
Makes a lot of sense. Make a lot of sense. So it sounds like, going to someone like yourself to strategize that business owner or entrepreneur strategy could be the best route to take versus just making mistakes blindly.
Right.
Awesome. Awesome. Resilience often adapt to turbulence. I think economic downturns, regulation changes, unexpected crisis. You've seen a ton of things in your 20-year experience. How can financial planning make a company truly resilient, in your opinion?
Resilience comes from options. When you've mapped out your capital reserves, your credit access, your debt strategies, you can pivot during the downturns instead of panicking.
Mm,
So planning buys you time and leverage when the unexpected happens. And most people fail to plan.
very true. Very true. Can you elaborate a little bit for me, for our entrepreneurs listening? How can they plan better?
Well, I mean, simple things, in understanding your numbers, right? Understanding where you stand now with your credit, with your debt, with your projections, right? Where are you going to be in 6 months or a year? How much, how much, expenditures do you need to look at over the next 6 months with regards to employees or equipment or inventory? There's things that can be done based on trajectory and historical factors that can help us do those projections, and not because we can look through a crystal ball, but we can project based on um, what's been happening over the months, right? It sets kind of a template. But for the last 3 months, we've been doing X, then maybe in the next 3 months, I should allot for X plus one, right? Just to have a buffer. And if you do very well and your numbers are lower on the expenditure side, well, that's just a plus for you. It makes you look smarter in planning that way, right? But a lot of times people just don't know the basics. If I tell somebody, how does your child look? You're going to tell me 100% all the details of your child. But
Yes.
if I ask somebody, tell me your business, how did you do last quarter? What did you do in receivables? What did you do in X expense? And they don't know their numbers from anything. How do you expect them to really grow their business if they don't even know some of these variables that I'm talking about?
Right.
It's very, that's how I see it. you know?
Very true. Very true. Being aware and knowledgeable of the data that drives your business is very crucial. Jimmy, can you share an example of a client who turned financial challenges into an opportunity for growth?
Well, I mean, one of our biggest test cases is on our YouTube channel at Rio's Business Funding. His name's Cesar Lupercio, and he was drowning in debt. There was not good credit. His wife had just gotten laid off and was suffering from post pandemic, I guess what they call post pandemic, which was keeping her bedridden. So now he had to come up with money to make up for her income, right?
Hmm.
And being in an environment where going, month to month, trying to make it is extremely difficult, right? So being able to put him in our eye level to high level program where we used the strategies that we teach and being able to leverage from what he had, right? Not necessarily taking on more debt. I mean, even though it's a debt structure, what we did was we said, okay, you have 50,000 of available equity in your home. We're going to take 25,000 and leave 25,000 in reserves. We're going to put 25,000 to work through our asset strategy and our investment firm, and we're going to 10x your money over the next year, right? What does that mean? Well, 10x, 25,000. If you can turn 25,000 to 250,000 with any business, that's a success, right? But doing it strategically and being able to manage the flow of debt so that we can pay off the debt with the strategies that we have. Now you're building on two things, giving him cash flow on a monthly basis that he needs, right?
Right.
That solves for one problem.
Hmm.
Then you're solving at the same time over the months in compounding, you're solving the cause of debt to be eliminated or less burdened, right? So now the household has more cash flow, right?
Right.
You can't build a business if your household is upside down because you don't know where to pull from. So you need to build a foundation. By us doing what we're doing and building his foundation, we could then get him his LLC, get him structured properly, right? To be able to start taking on more responsibilities inside of his business, right? But first, we needed to go to basics. Over the course of the year, the platform produced over $300,000 in revenue, right? And he took $91,000 in distributions, right? Which was used to put him with an S corporation and give himself a salary of $10,000 a month, which was enough to keep him in line with what he needed for his goals, right?
Hmm.
At the same time, we built hybrid lines of credit and other things for his business to be able to grow that side, right? So multiple strategies inside of a year, but imagine being able to be debt free, put a foundation where you can pull from that's producing an income, but at the same time have the ability to go into business properly, not bootstrap, not using personal credit, right? Really using the tools that we've been able to showcase for him.
Yes, yes. Great example. Great example. And for everybody listening, please check out Jimmy's YouTube channel for more information on this person that he's describing. Jimmy, if a business owner is struggling with debt today, which a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling, what is the first step you would recommend they take?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. You got to have clarity. You got to lay everything out. What you owe, interest rate, terms. From there, we can then prioritize your high impact debt.
Hmm.
We can negotiate and restructure. Most people avoid looking at the numbers because of fear,
Right.
right? And you need to face them. And that's the first step of freedom, right? And not just in this facet of your life. Any problem that comes your way is just a solution waiting to be uncovered, right? Every problem. So we're never going to be void of problems. Something's always going to happen. Your ability to take that problem and through perspective, through the proper lenses that you put on, be able to undertake the problem, ask for help, and look for the solution. That's going to get you closer to freedom and solutions than wallowing in the problem, right? So the first step is always what is the problem? Identify your problem and let's get real with it. Let's put all the details of that transaction on paper so we can start really. Let me tell you, when it happened to me, my wife will tell you she saw a list of debts on the refrigerator with the amounts owed, who owed, all that, and it was daunting, right? But I also took a big board and I made a calendar with all the pluses and minuses daily,
Mm,
so I could show what was coming in and what was coming out, categorized, right? So I could see what was house, what was frivolous, what was entertainment, blah blah blah. I did that for 30 days, and at the end of 30 days, I showed her not only the list of debts
okay.
that showed the true picture of what was happening in our household, but then the big calendar that showed the drain, the cash flow drain that was happening in our household. So you can make a lot of money, which we were, right? But we were spending just as much, right?
Right.
Same problem my clients had, right? So I became my own client and having to,
Mhm.
stop the bleeding, so to speak.
I love that illustration that you shared with us, especially incorporating your wife also in the big picture, making her see visually what's happening. So you sort of, involve her in the decision making. I think that was excellent. For
Yeah, definitely.
Great, great. I like the visual illustration. And also, a lot of times, like you said, a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners are so afraid to look at the numbers and they sort of push it on the back burner, but you have to address it, like you mentioned. Jimmy, what role does financial education play in empowering entrepreneurs to make smarter decisions?
Well, I always say fear breeds indecisions and bad choices. In financial education, it empowers you, right? And when business owners understand credit, capital, and cash flow, they stop making fear based decisions. So, your education turns an I don't know into an I got this,
Hmm.
and it's two different worlds, right? So when you get empowered, when you walk with conviction, you can do so many things. It's almost like a superhero putting on their cape and all of a sudden they're flying, right? That's the innate vision I get when I think of credit. It's like this sea across my chest and I can do anything. Here we go. Da, da, da. But it's empowering and education gives you that. And not everybody knows what they don't know. So I say, look, and empower yourself with the tools that are out there. Listen to our podcast, go to our YouTube channels, look at all those factors,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Education is so liberating. It helps you have tools, it helps you with clarity of mind. I love that. For leaders who
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed, Jimmy, what small but impactful financial habits can help them sort of build sustainability and confidence?
Well, you got to think about three habits that make a difference. One is you got to have a weekly cash flow check in, right? You need to see what's coming in and what's coming. You need to see that cash flow and have that visual. Two, separate your business and your personal accounts. Super important in the scope of understanding your cash flow is knowing what's coming into your household or what's personal and what's business. And third, using credit strategically and paying it on time,
Hmm.
right? No better way to build business credit than to show that you can build your business credit by paying it on time, right? Those simple disciplines, they compound into long-term stability. So compounding is not just compounding in the interest form that I talk about, it's compounding in everything we do. And this is just habits that over time will compound into long-term stability.
Excellent, excellent. Especially on the point around credit building and the discipline.
Yes.
The discipline it requires one to put it in habit. The earlier you get that done, the better it is for your business. Thank you so much, Jimmy. That's beautiful. How do you use funding and credit access evolving for entrepreneurs over the next 5 years? How do you see funding and credit access evolving for the next 5 years?
I mean, we've adopted AI as part of our everything that we do now, right? So I see technology reshaping funding in ways like AI driven underwriting, um, alternative data for credit, um, faster non-bank options are going to start dominating. And then entrepreneurs who build strong digital footprints and transparent financials are going to have more access
Mm,
than ever before.
mm,
So you're going to see, this kind of a parallel happening where it's going to start crossing. And whereas before it was very archaic in asking people for their financials, now it's going to be using tools like Plaid and different things that synchronize the numbers. And we'll start seeing different services like Affirm and Klarna and different pay companies that are going to give us a better picture of the real cash flow in a person's home. And it'll be done on the business side as well. And AI, how we do it is using AI investment strategies to be able to limit your risk
mm.
and increase your cash, right? So when we do our program, why do we talk so vehemently about 10x returns or 5x returns? That's difficult in a traditional setting, right? But when we eliminate the risk in the way we do in our program, we're able to maximize the compound gains on a daily basis, not on a yearly. So when you're compounding daily and you're bringing in 1%, 2%, 5%, that compounds immensely over time. And that's what we want to see.
Nice, nice. I love the understanding of incorporating AI into the strategies and tools to help with productivity and even enhance the strategy. I think that's excellent, and I truly do believe that that is going to continue to expand over the next 5 years. So many businesses are going to incorporate AI into their day-to-day activities. So thank you for expanding on that. What excites you the most about the future of business and resilience? And how are you helping shaping Roy business advisors and the funding that you help entrepreneurs build?
Well, what excites me is seeing resilience become a competitive advantage.
Mm,
Through Rio's business advisors and Rio's business funding, we're not just helping owners survive. We're helping them thrive by using funding as a freedom tool. That shift from survival mode to strategic growth. That's what drives me. So I'm always the walking, talking billboard to everything that I do, and that's what I want to do is be able to help others walk through my path and what I did to help. So that's what we're doing. We're doing it one step at a time, helping others, so they avoid a lot of the costly mistakes and helping guide them in the best way possible.
excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for being on our show today. I'm not sure if you have any final words for our guests listening. And if any of our listeners listening today, if they want to reach out to you personally to learn more how to work with you, where is the best place they can do so? And how would you like them to stay in touch with you?
Well, the best way I believe is because I'm following it so much is through our YouTube channel, Rio's Business Funding. Right, we want to go on there, subscribe, put all your questions, make an appointment. Right, we can get a lot of that through social media on all our Instagram page and Facebook page, Rio's Business Funding, Rio's Business Advisors. Right, that's the first thing is just go on the website realsbusinessfunding.com, make an appointment, right? And or any of the channels, and we'll be able to help you from there.
Excellent, excellent. For all of our listeners or watching us, folks listening or watching us today, thank you for being part of our show. Until next week, see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.